Now let's look at this figure 17-37 that deals with a customer-owned substation. Now you see that you have the utility power coming in. Then you see you have a weatherproof switchgear located inside the substation fence, and that's the service point for this facility in accordance with the definition of service point from Article 100. Now let's look at the Note 1. The ground grid shall extend at least 3 foot in front of the fence, and that's for step voltage problems. Where you're walking away from the substation, you wouldn't receive shock with steps. The IEEE Green Book, as well as the IEEE 80 book, gives us this information that you should extend it out 3 to 4 foot. Now, Note 2, see the substation requirements on page 17-27 of this book, and this is when you purchase the design book, Stallcup's Designing Electrical System book, volume 2. You can pick, go to that page and you pick up a lot more additional information when a substation is owned by a facility. And then, of course, we tell you in the loop, the figure loop, see figure 16-89 and 490.48a. There's more information there that would be important to you. And then you notice you have your ground grid installed below the substation, and from the point of the equipment that you see with that bonding jumper to the grid should read about 1 ohm if possible, in accordance with IEEE 80 that you see in bold type here, see, in designing your grid. And then we have the electrodes driven into the ground, and they're a 1/2 inch by 8 foot. And, there are certain distances around that substation in accordance to the size of the substation as illustrated and required in IEEE 80. You can't hardly pull maintenance on a substation in accordance with Nfpa 70B without having the IEEE 80, because we're referenced there. And then you have your lighting arrestors and ground connections, which you would find in the new Article 242 in the NEC 2020 edition. So you have your ungrounded conductors coming in, you have your static wire to pick up surges and lightning strikes and divert them through the lighting arrestors to into the grid system. And all of your equipment that you see in the substation is connected to that grid system. And that keeps everything as equal potential to ground as you can possibly get it if you're working in the substation. Now 70B, the maintenance standard, you would review section 14.1.6.47 for maintenance. But it's that section, they're going to refer you over to IEEE 80, because that's where you get all of your most important rules of maintaining a substation once it's installed, as well as installation rules when you're installing the substation. But keep in mind, this figure 17-37 is strictly dealing now with a customer-owned substation, not a utility substation. And then notice in the Note 3, you really want to review 250.194 along with 490.48. And I believe you'll have enough information there to really get you started in maintaining a substation that is owned by a facility, as well as installing designing and installing a substation that is owned by the customer. And that's what this figure 17-37 is illustrating to the user of the NEC.